right, then let's come to this now. Just still, unpacking the results that we saw yesterday. We are now joined by my next guest, of course, Meryl Mansfield, the Zero Dropout campaign. Rep will be joining us. Meryl, thank you so much for your time and welcome to the South African morning. Let's just get some reaction from you, reiterating, of course, that national pass rate being at 76.2%. We're still seeing that 5% point drop. What do you think about this number?
Good morning to Melo and good morning to your viewers. Thank you for having the Zero Dropout campaign on. I think that we are happy for the class of 2020 who managed to pass last year in the matric results, particularly around the pandemic. But I think one of the key things that we like to shine a light on is that this measure of the matric pass rate is really not a measure of success in our schooling system. And unfortunately, within South Africa, we have this one focus every year that does not allow us to see that we actually have many learners who don't even make it to matric. So our throughput rate, if we look at the number of learners who start grade 2 10 years earlier and the number of learners who end up in matric, is very, very low. And often, not 40% of kids who start won't even make it to the grade 12 year. And the really sad thing about that is that we don't know where they are. So in our system, we are unable to track where the kids are stuck or how they get stuck. Or where they drop out and how they drop out, because our data systems just currently is unable to give us that answer. And so I think celebrating the matric pass rate is a wonderful thing and it's something we should do, but we should also be considering if that's the only measure of success within our education system we should be tracking.
Yeah, I mean, I had a conversation with Professor Nuran Davis a bit earlier on, and she raised concerns around the authenticity, but also the validity of, the results. Are they credible? Should we be concerned? Should we question them? Is the department just, merely trying to manage, the situation by, just saying the numbers are true and they're commendable, or are there systems in place to ensure that data collection is thorough? Do you think that there are concerns or questions that we need to still be asking just in terms of data collection when it comes to the matric results?
So when we're looking at, for example, the data management systems within our country, we have quite sophisticated systems that aren't, fully or comprehensively used currently. And for example, if we're looking at something like learner level data, we struggle to position the information and analyze it at a learner level fully. And so we often talk about aggregated data, which is what we look at now. We have a 76% pass rate nationally. It would be very interesting if we start debunking that number and we look at what it looks like at a province and at a district level, and also what that pass rate actually tells us about learner outcomes or educational outcomes. So at what percentage did a learner actually pass on average per subject? And so what does that equate to in terms of the quality of education or the quality of the pass that learners have received? So if we start debunking that number in a lot more intense way, we start to see and pick out gaps within our system. One of the things that we should be looking at with learner level tracking is allowing us to track learners over time and over a period of time so that we can pick up where they struggle and how we support them to get through school and stay in school and make it to matric, before they even get to the matric year. The strong focus we have on making sure we have a very high pass rate at the end of matric, makes us shift our focus away from building resilience in the school system or building resilience around learners. And we shift our focus to only that last year of schooling with the minimal learners who make it to that year.
Yeah. So now another concern here, Miro, is the fact that the class of, rather the grade 11 class of 2020 also encountered the same challenge as the class of 2020. They had to miss certain classes. They had to adapt quickly to e-learning. And, there are concerns that they also did not, complete their full academic year. Now they've thrust into 2021 and, experts saying that they might even have it harder than the class of 2020. What lessons should the department derive here to just prevent this dropout rate that they raised in Parliament, which is a clear concern for the department as well?
Absolutely. It is a concern for the department, and I think we've been very encouraged last year that it was the first time that we've ever heard the department directly addressing dropout, and so we're really encouraged by that and hoping that that goes further into secondary steps of action. And one of the things that we've always said is that if we don't make dropout a national KPI within our country, we're always going to be playing reactionary. We're always going to be doing the reactionary work. We need to be making dropout a KPI so that we can proactively be engaging our schooling system to prevent dropout. Now, one of the things we talk about is that dropout is a process of disengagement, and disengagement can actually be measured and tracked over time. And so that's what we're advocating for, making sure that we are intervening to lower a learner's risk of disengagement so that the ultimate event of dropout doesn't actually occur. And we've seen schools being very innovative last year with engaging with parents, and working with communities and staying connected with their learners via WhatsApp and trying to do what they can to ensure that learners stay connected to school. But we know that it's going to be very challenging. We have a large amount of learners coming back this year who are going to have different needs and have had different access last year. And so our classrooms are going to have a degree of heterogeneity that they didn't have before. And our educators will have to be, trying to work with these learners at different levels of learning capacity and learning loss, that can cause last year, and having to react to that. Right. And so we're having to be proactive in our schools with coming up with what those plans are, how we're going to respond to learners, and also being prepared for when school closures are going to happen, because we've been navigating the pandemic again this year. And we know that ultimately we might have to close schools down again. So what does that look like for learners when they can't access school? Right. And what is our plan to make sure that we stay in touch with them?
All right, we'll leave it there. But thank you so much for raising these important points. Joining us today, Meryl Mansfield from the Zero Dropout campaign.